costs a relationship. Your marriage takes a beating, I can tell you that. Relationship with business partner can take a beating at times. It's tough. And also you are exposed on a daily basis to horrible abuse cases. Dogs have been shot or beaten up, puppies have been kicked and beaten. For me personally, I would never get a breed dog again because there are so many fantastic shelter dogs who are just full of love and affection, and they're fantastic. Money is just a tool. It's something that you can do good or bad or nothing with. And if you can do that, why wouldn't you just do something amazing and good with that money and not just leave it? If you can transform lives of a lot of dogs or people, that's a life well spent. I grew up in a city called Brisbane, which is roughly about the same population size as Sofia, so it's 1 to 1.5 million, a lot more now. And then I spent the last 10 years in Sydney before moving to London in 2004. I came to Bulgaria in 2012 from London with my Bulgarian wife. At the time I had a small digital business and we were looking for the best country in the world to move to with favourable taxation, good labour, nice weather, all of it was safe from crime, those kind of things. No one country in the world came out on top, but we settled on Bulgaria, which satisfied most of those. So now, at this time, I've been here for 12.5 years. I think the bond with dogs, and actually I'm working on a book for this for next year, called Why Dogs Matter. I think it's one of those things you're kind of born with, sort of with the extreme level that I have or not. So I went for decades without having my own dog, and when I got to Bulgaria, when we came here and we bought our own apartment, no longer was it an issue. So immediately I got a golden retriever puppy, Joey, who'll be 10 years old this year. And at that time I didn't fully understand the state of homeless dogs and shelters and rescue dogs in Bulgaria. For me personally, I would never get a breed dog again because there are so many fantastic shelter dogs who are just full of love and affection, and they're fantastic. I was on a podcast for entrepreneurs by this British guy, I can't recall, and I basically talked, instead of entrepreneurship, I just talked about dogs the whole time. And one of the listeners was a lady, Luzinka Bakalska, who's been involved in animal welfare here forever. And she was taking care of homeless dogs at the Kremakovci industrial area. And at that time there were about 500. My company, WPX, I'm a 50% co-founding co-owner with a Bulgarian guy, Georgi Petrov. We agreed to start funding the feeding of these dogs several times a week. 8 years later, we're still feeding and castrating and helping with dogs there. So that was kind of a bit of the sponsoring journey. And around that time, I also became a volunteer at Ekorenevesia, the Bogrov shelter, where they have about 1,500 dogs, probably a few more, on a site that is slightly bigger than this one. So here currently we have about 130 dogs. We had a few just leaving, adopted abroad and locally. And you can see here we do not overcrowd cages. We don't want to have 2,000 dogs here because it's a horrendous experience and very bad for the dogs. So we work really hard on the adoption part of the conveyor belt, as I think about it, at getting more dogs out rather than expanding our capacity. We're really maxed out here on our limit. Financially, emotionally, physically, staff, volunteers, you name it. A lot of people have come here and said, I heard about you, but I didn't want to come and get angry and frustrated at how the dogs were treated. But then I came here and the dogs feel great. They play with each other all the time. You never see that in a normal shelter. They're too depressed and frustrated. We do have some private donations, but and we're very grateful for that, but it's a very small percentage of what's needed here. So on a normal month here, the costs could run anything from 30 to 50,000 leva a month to just to keep the lights on and keep everything going. So my company, WPX, puts in money, and quite a lot comes from my salary at WPX and my wife's salary at WPX, and some months those are completely wiped out. In a way it's my life project, so I choose this life and I choose to fund it, so I'm not complaining, but the financial exposure is pretty high, And most shelters don't have that financial stability, and it's a very stressful existence for them. It costs a relationship. Your marriage takes a beating, I can tell you that. Relationship with business partner can take a beating at times. It's tough. And also you are exposed on a daily basis to horrible abuse cases. Dogs have been shot or beaten up, puppies have been kicked and beaten, dogs poisoned, all kinds of things. And if you're going to continue to do this work, you've got to kind of emotionally toughen up. We don't want to be an inwardly focused facility, and we want to take our beautiful dogs out and give people out in normal society great experiences with dogs. So not long ago I was at the British School of Sofia, and I took 3 dogs there, and I met 15 to 16-year-old boys who'd never touched a dog. And when they approached one of the dogs, it was like they were touching a nuclear bomb that was about to explode. And these are like extremely docile, friendly dogs. However, by the end of an hour and a half together, those same kids were all over the dogs, hugging them, patting them. They'd had that wonderful, joyful experience that all of us can have with dogs. We have done work with Bulgarian Alzheimer's Society, but we also have company team building. Obviously Sofia has a huge tech sector, and part of my sneaky, not too obvious agenda is to let them meet dogs in person and fall in love with them. When they first arrive, I do give them a warning that I apologise if you fall in love with several dogs today. I can't stop that, I can't control that. I do regard money as a critical component. I never used to before I had some money, and then I lost it all at my dog shelter. I actually view there's a 3-part framework here, which is money, time, energy. So, for example, if I were 85 years old, no way I could do any of this. I would not have the physical energy. But if I didn't have the time because I had some big career or whatever, that's no good either. And I might want to help all the orphans in the world or whatever, but I have no money. So you kind of need to combine this framework. While you do very much want and appreciate the small donors, I think you've got to find some big fish who get on board and are perfectly happy, dog nuts like me, who are just perfectly happy to just spend the money on something they really believe in. And those kind of people usually understand that money is just a tool. It's something that you can do good or bad or nothing with. If you can do that, why wouldn't you just do something amazing and good with that money and not just leave it? You know, stupid, just like get a fancy car, so what? Nobody cares. There are thousands of them out there. Nobody notices or cares too much. But, you know, if you can transform lives of a lot of dogs or people, you know, that's a life well spent.